The moment I walked across that stage, accepted my diploma, and officially became the first college graduate in my entire family, I thought the hardest part of the day was over. I was wrong, completely and utterly wrong, because not 2 hours later, sitting at what was supposed to be a celebratory dinner in a ridiculously expensive restaurant my parents insisted on, my dad cleared his throat, reached into the pocket of his suit and pulled out an official-looking manila envelope. He slid it across the white tablecloth to me, a sickeningly smug expression on his face, the kind he always wore when he thought he'd outsmarted me. I looked at the envelope, then at him, then at my mother, who was avoiding my gaze and fidgeting with her silverware. Beside her, my sister, Chloe, was holding her phone, not looking at it, but recording me, the tiny red light on her camera lens winking like a malicious eye. My dad's voice, low and dripping with false solemnity, cut through the quiet hum of the restaurant. "Well, son, this is it, our gift to you. It's what you wanted, isn't it?" I opened the envelope, my heart hammering against my ribs, expecting maybe a hefty check, or even a new car key, something to match the showy venue. Instead, I pulled out a stack of neatly typed, legally formatted documents. The header in bold, capitalized letters screamed, ***, deed of independence and family severance. ***, they were disownment papers. Signed, witnessed, and notarized. A total, formal, and final separation. It wasn't just him. There were letters from my mother and sister attached, echoing the sentiment from all of us. They had orchestrated this. They had handed me my official, public family death certificate on the day I was supposed to be celebrating my new life. Chloe moved her phone slightly, ready to capture the moment I finally broke. The moment I shattered into the dutiful, heartbroken son they always expected me to be. ***, was I wrong for not giving them the spectacle they paid for? ***, tell me, if your family decided to discard you like trash on your greatest day of triumph, would you have given them the satisfaction of your tears? I need to go back to the beginning to explain why my father thought this was a justifiable, even clever action. My family, they're not bad people in the dramatic sense of the word. They're just intensely, suffocatingly insular. They own a successful local construction business, and the expectation, the absolute law since I was old enough to hold a wrench, was that I would join the business, marry a girl from our church, live in the town, and eventually take over a perfectly respectable, predictable, and frankly, soul-crushing life plan. I was the eldest son, I was the heir. The problem was, I was also a bookworm. I loved astrophysics, abstract mathematics, and philosophy. I had a mind that soared far past the local concrete plant. When I announced at 17 that I was applying to a university 4 states away for a STEM program on a full scholarship, the house went silent. My father took it as a personal betrayal. My mother saw it as an abandonment. Chloe, who had happily settled into a secretarial role at the business and married her high school sweetheart, saw me as an arrogant snob who thought he was too good for the family. Over the next 4 years, the tension was a constant, low-level poison. They never visited. They rarely called. When they did, it was always a barbed inquiry about when I would come to my senses and drop out. They'd send articles about useless degrees and student debt traps, conveniently ignoring my full scholarship and the prestigious internship I secured every summer. They cut me off financially, not that I needed the money, but as a symbolic gesture. They essentially put me on probation. My father's consistent refrain was, "You've chosen your path, son. You've chosen the world over your family. Don't come crawling back when it all falls apart." I didn't argue. I just focused on my studies. I thrived. I built a new life, a new network, and a new identity miles away from their suffocating expectations. My grades were top of my class, and I'd already secured a job offer with a major aerospace company, starting the following month. My new life wasn't a risk. It was a sure thing, something they either couldn't or wouldn't acknowledge. The irony of the graduation was that they insisted on attending. They flew in, booked the most luxurious hotel suite, and made a huge production of it. I knew why. They weren't there to celebrate *me*. They were there to claim *credit* for their support to the extended family and the townspeople. They were performing the role of the proud parents. Even though they hadn't contributed a single cent or a moment of encouragement, I tolerated the ceremony, the forced smiles, and the superficial congratulations. I even invited them to the dinner I was going to pay for, just to keep the peace for a few hours. But they took control, insisted on paying, and chose this overly ornate public space for the grand finale of their resentment. They needed witnesses, or at least my sister's camera, to document my defeat. They genuinely believed that on this pinnacle of my personal achievement, the weight of their official rejection would crush me, proving to me and anyone watching that family was the only true currency and I was bankrupt. As I sat there, the documents in my hand, my mind raced. I saw the triumphant sneer on my father's face, the tight-lipped anticipation of my mother, and the gleeful recording lens of my sister. They wanted tears. They wanted a plea for forgiveness. They wanted the narrative to be, the prodigal son realized his mistake too late. But in that moment, something inside me didn't break. It solidified. 4 years of quiet, grinding defiance crystallized into a single, perfectly formed piece of ice. I looked at the papers, at the signatures, and a slow, genuine smile spread across my face. I realized what they had actually done. They hadn't disowned me. They had signed my release papers. They had freed me from every single obligation, every guilt trip, every expectation they could ever have imposed. They had given me a legally binding document that meant I never had to attend another miserable holiday, field another judgmental phone call, or feel obligated to lend money, time, or assistance. The construction business. They had paid for the notary and the dinner to officially declare me a free man. So that's the situation I was in. I was handed a ceremonial, public act of cruelty designed to shatter my spirit on my finest day by the very people who should have been lifting me up. And I had a choice. I could give them the reaction they hungered for, the tears, the confrontation, the validation of their narrative, or I could do something else entirely. Before I tell you exactly what I did, I want you to pause right now and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Seriously, what is the ultimate power move when your family tries to use disownment as an emotional weapon? I took a deep breath, deliberately slow and steady. I didn't cry, I didn't shout, I didn't even drop my head. I looked my father dead in the eye, and my smile broadened. It wasn't the smile of a broken person. It was the smile of someone who just won the lottery. I carefully folded the legal documents and placed them back into the envelope. Then, I looked directly at Chloe's phone camera. I knew she was sending this footage to everyone in the family's orbit. I had an audience. My voice, when it came, was calm, measured, and resonated perfectly in the quiet luxury of the restaurant. "Dad," I said, my tone almost grateful. "Mom, Chloe, thank you. Truly." Their expressions shifted instantly from smug confidence to utter confusion. My father's eyebrows knitted together. My mother looked up, her mouth slightly ajar. Chloe, forgetting the camera for a second, actually lowered the phone. "Thank me," my father asked, clearly thrown off script. "For what?" I stood up, the envelope clutched firmly in my hand, and leaned slightly over the table, keeping my voice low so only our small party could hear. "For this," I said, tapping the papers. "You always believed that family obligation was the only thing keeping me tied to you. You always worried I'd come crawling back. What you just handed me is proof that I never have to. This document releases me from every potential future financial, emotional, or time commitment. No more guilt, no more holiday visits, no more obligation to the business. I am officially, legally, and finally free of your expectations. I paused, letting that sink in, watching the realization dawn on their faces. Chloe raised her phone again, but this time her face wasn't gleeful. It was horrified. I leaned in a little closer to my father. You think you discarded me, but you just signed the papers for my clean break? I am graduating top of my class. I have a job offer starting next month at a Fortune 500 aerospace company, 4 states further away, and this piece of paper means I never have to look back. I don't need your money, your approval, or your business. You've given me the one thing money can't buy, peace of mind and the right to never feel guilty for choosing my own life. I reached into my own pocket, pulling out a business card and placing it next to the envelope. That's my new work number and my new address. It's for emergency use only. If you call it for anything less than a medical crisis, the number will be blocked. Consider this the last time we ever share a meal as family. Then I did the final, decisive thing. I picked up the wine list, which was leather, bound and thick, and pulled out my own wallet. I took out a crisp $100 bill, more than enough for the 3 untouched entrees and the bottle of wine. I placed it neatly under my water glass, making sure the waiter would see it, and looked at my father one last time. Consider this my contribution to the bill, and congratulations, Dad. You got what you wanted. I'll see you never. I turned, walked out of the restaurant without a backward glance, and left them sitting there, utterly speechless, staring at the disownment papers, the money, and the empty chair where the expected breakdown should have been. The silence I left behind was louder than any scream I could have mustered. The aftermath was exactly what I knew it would be. The video Chloe was recording, it didn't go viral in the way they planned. Instead, it became a private spectacle of their own making. My father called twice that night, once shouting that I was an ungrateful child, and the second time, his voice was quieter, almost pleading, realizing he had lost all leverage. He threatened to revoke the papers. I simply quoted the legal clause that made the severance permanent upon my signed acknowledgement, which I had already done, and hung up. My mother sent a long, rambling text message about my cold heart, which I didn't respond to. I blocked them all within 24 hours. The rest of the extended family who saw the video or heard the story from Chloe realized what my parents had done. Instead of rallying to my parents' defense, many privately reached out to me, offering quiet congratulations on my strength and admitting that my parents were a bit much. I politely declined any further contact, needing a clean break. I moved to my new state, started my new job, and used the disownment papers not as a symbol of loss, but as the first page of my new, completely independent life. I framed the papers and hung them in my home office, a reminder that sometimes the greatest gift is the removal of a toxic obligation. The moral of the story, I suppose, is that you can't let someone else write the ending of your own narrative. My family tried to use their rejection as a weapon to destroy my joy, but I took that weapon and turned it into my shield, and ultimately, my freedom. I'm living the life I built, completely on my own terms, and I have my father's signature to prove that I owe them absolutely nothing. Asterisk asterisk, like this video, if you were on my side asterisk asterisk, and believe that sometimes cutting ties is the healthiest choice you can make. Asterisk asterisk, subscribe for more stories like this asterisk asterisk, where people turn the tables on their abusers or manipulators. Share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. Do you think they learned their lesson, or do you think they'll always believe they were the victims? I'll see you all in the next story.